Welcome back, Barry at where stories are always intact. Join the fun, let's all react. Barry acts, that's a fact. Today we are going to be going over this interview with this CIA spy, why you should leave the USA before 2030. And this is a 2-hour interview. I'm only going to be going over one part of the interview. I'm going to be linking the full interview down in the description below if you guys want to go watch it. And yeah, let's get right into it.
Where you can try Whoop for 30 days, risk-free, while you were an undercover CIA operative.
Yeah, it was. I am still to this day very thankful that she is a poor judge of character.
In 2014, you leave the CIA, aged 34 years old. You both resigned together?
We both resigned together.
Why?
This guy was not in the CIA.
It was mostly my idea. My wife had a stellar career. We had a one-year-old child at the time. And we were at a point in our career, coming off of very successful operations together right before that, where we were both kind of middle management. And that middle management lifestyle meant that we're spending 12 to 16 hours a day on the job, just like most people. But the difference is when you're spending 16 hours a day on the job, it means that you're in a skiff somewhere. You can't take your work home, you can't work from home, so you're literally absent from the house. So trying to coordinate two 16-hour schedules along with a one-year-old, when neither of us signed up to be that kind of parent, we both wanted to be the kind of parent that was present for our children. And instead, we're giving our child to some daycare center and paying extra overage fees to have that daycare center keep the baby for 12 hours a day. It's a sucky situation. So for family reasons, more so than for career reasons, we both decided, hey, let's double down on family and let's see if we can't start all over again.
Are you going to leave America in 2030?
I'm going to try and leave America in 2027.
I read that somewhere. Why are you going to try and leave America in 2027?
So I think the United States is going through a very difficult time right now, and I think most people understand that. We are a young country. No matter how much we think that we are the best in the world, we are actually going through the early part of our adolescence as a nation. And you can see it playing out every day in the headlines. You can see it in our role in geopolitical events. You can see that we're suffering in terms of trying to identify ourselves. We don't know, do we want to be a real democracy? Do we want to be kind of a partial democracy? Do we want to treat everybody as equal? Do we not want to treat everybody as equal? We're struggling in the same way that you and I did through middle school, right? Yeah. My children mean the world to me. And what I want to do is give them a life where they have the choice to do anything they want to do. Unfortunately, I don't believe our country for the next 5 to 10 years is going to be the kind of country that allows children of today to choose and be whatever they want to be. I think our country has some growing up of its own to do before we really offer people equal access to opportunities.
Which is sad.
So for me, if I was my 11-year-old son, when I turned 15 or 16 years old and I start to really care about something, I would like to be in a place where I can explore that thing.
Right.
I don't think that's going to be in the United States. I think that's going to be in Europe. I think that's going to be in the Middle East. I think that's going to be in Latin America, where he will have all the advantages of the world outside of the United States.
What do you think about what's going on at the moment with geopolitics as it relates to like China and the US? There's a bit of a power struggle going on, and there has been, but a lot of people forecast that China is eventually going to overtake, or maybe it already has, the US as the sort of global economic force. Are you preparing for that? Do you think it's going to happen?
I think that there's two realistic outcomes and there's one less realistic outcome. The most realistic outcome is that the United States and China continue to compete and reach parity, equality with each other.
This is insane.
That's the most realistic outcome.
This is CIA
maybe the United States remains 10% bigger. Maybe China gets 2% bigger economically. But they approach parity. They approach equality. I don't want to live in the United States when it loses so much status that another country reaches economic parity. think about that for a second. The world is accustomed to one superpower. Once there are two superpowers, everything changes. There's two massive languages, and you're going to have to choose which language you speak. There's two currencies. Which currency are you going to save your money in? There's competing priorities. There's competing politics. There's equally massive, sophisticated militaries. Mm-hmm. When you are in one of those two countries, at the moment that they reach parity, you are in the most dangerous position, because the number one target for China will be the United States. The number one target for the United States will be China. Right now, there's not parity, there's not equality. So the United States has to worry about everybody. And China doesn't really have to worry about many people at all. But as that equality gets closer and closer, there's more and more threat. Think about it in business terms. When you're the industry leader in your business,
Google,
you don't have to worry about much. You have to worry about all the little guys, but nobody's really a direct threat. But as soon as somebody else rises to meet you, you have to worry about it. The leader used to be Yahoo, right? Yahoo had to see what it's like to lose and gain parity with Google, only to then be eclipsed, right? So most probable outcome, we reach parity. Second most probable outcome is that China does supersede us by small amounts, right? 5% GDP, 10% GDP, and the United States has to regain its momentum to try to gain back the edge. So now you have this cycle back and forth, right? Where for 5 years, China is the leading GDP. For 5 years, the United States is the leading GDP. And you have this waffling back and forth, which makes you even less secure than if you were in direct parity. But that's a scary place to be as well. You still have to lose all the influence to get there.
Like stocks.
And when you're there,
Stocks,
you never know how long it's going to last.
Bitcoin goes up.
Do you think we're already engaged in a form of World War III?
Yeah, absolutely. I think World War III is already happening. I think World War III is not what people think it was going to be. I think people were afraid that World War III was somehow going to look like another World War II. Instead, World War III is a war of proxy nations. It's a war where smaller third world countries are competing against each other, and they're being funded by larger countries that are actually in conflict with one another. Ukraine and Russia. US is funding Ukraine. Russia's obviously taking care of itself. But the real conflict in Ukraine isn't about Ukraine. It's about the West versus Russia. Same thing's going to happen with Taiwan and China. When the time comes that China makes its biggest move on Taiwan, it's already made the small moves on Taiwan. When it makes its largest move on Taiwan, it's going to become a question of China versus the West and whoever supports Taiwan.
So going back to where we started then, the average Joe. The average Joe's listening to this conversation now, and what they really want is to make their life better in whatever subjective measure that they consider better to be.
Well, that is about the end of that section. That's the only section I'm going to be going over. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make your decisions fast of what you're going to do, because there's a lot of things that is going to be happening in the upcoming years. It's going to be crazy. I'm going to be linking this full interview down in the description below if you guys want to go check it out. I love y'all, and I'll see you guys in the next videos from Bear the React, if any react, or Bear in any react at all. And I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Yeah, screw.